Let me start here by asking you about the new resurgence of new heavy operations in Gaza, the reasons for that, and what could be the humanitarian implications of those military operations.
There is a genocide, a systematic genocide against the Palestinian people in the north of Gaza Strip to implement the general's plan, which is the displacement of the people and cutting the humanitarian aid from the north of Gaza totally, in addition to the continuation of the bombardment on the south of Gaza as usual, and the latest toll of the number of people who martyred in Gaza is close to 46,000 people killed, in addition to 109,000 injured and tens of thousands who are not known their fate. The latest Israeli bombardment to one of the refugee camps has resulted in the martyrdom of 70 of the Palestinians, and it included women and children, of course. In addition to the continuation of the aggression to the medical facilities, especially the large hospitals, as well as arresting their directors and burning the respiratory devices and the medical devices, so as these hospitals cannot anymore provide any medical care to the injured people, who are truly many. There are continued Israeli attacks and a systematic plan that is racing against time, so as to harm as much as possible before the new American administration comes to office, and then also to achieve as much as possible on the ground out of the aggression on the Palestinian lands. This also goes along with the operations that are made more than 445 days of continued aggression since October 7, when the Palestinian resistance made an attack on some of the Israeli settlements. So it is not a reaction by Israel, but it is actually, as the Israeli Prime Minister said, he is aiming to change the Middle East. And we can see that apparent in the attacks on the Lebanese territories and occupying new areas of the Golan Heights. And thus, after the failure of the displacement plan and pushing the Palestinians to the Egyptian borders and the Jordanian borders, now Netanyahu and the radical extremist Israeli administration is launching more attacks to force the Palestinians to the south in order to empty the north of Gaza Strip, in order to make a change on the ground and to hinder any kind of attempts for releasing of whomever still alive of the Israeli hostages. Despite all the international pressures, yet the international silence to the massacres by Israel and the ignoring the UN resolutions by Netanyahu.
Yes, indeed, Mr. Mohamed Ezz Eldin. That's exactly what I wanted to ask you about, because we're now seeing a UN Security Council meeting. So how effective have been all the UN interventions in addressing the ongoing conflict in Gaza so far?
So, there's, of course, a recognition of the international effort and the international humanitarian and rescue organizations, and also the effort of many governments, on top of which Egypt, in order to secure peace in the region and stop the brutal attacks on the Palestinians. So this UN meeting is aimed to stop the aggressions and to pave the way for starting negotiations for a true truce.
Actually, Mr. Ezz Eldin, I was asking about how the UN intervention so far has been able to address the humanitarian and aspect, and definitely the whole crisis at large?
If we speak about the situation, all the international efforts have failed, with the stubbornness of the Israeli side and the extremist government led by Netanyahu, as well as the double standards being used by the American administration. Thus, the outcome on the ground is almost zero. There is more aggression by Israel on daily basis, but even every hour. Every hour there is a new attack, and there is a continued war that is not stopped at all by the international resolutions because of not making some real international resolutions, because of the American veto and the intervention of the US administration. This is encouraging Israel for more incursions, more taking land, more bloodshed, and more attacking and ignoring the international resolutions and the UN resolutions. The outcome is not up to what's hoped for. And there is more focus now on stopping the killing of Palestinians on daily basis and displacing hundreds of thousands of them under the climate and weather situation now, and the cold that is hitting them.
Yes, thank you. That was the managing editor at Al Ahram, Mohamed Ezz Eldin. Thank you so much for your insights and your analysis.